So Brett Kavanaugh was confirmed yesterday. I'm super happy about that. But I want to use this as an opportunity to learn. One of the things that I see in this is that this whole situation is a microcosm for how the left and the right view reality. Before I get into that, though, let me say this. Sexual assault. I think we need to get away from this idea that the right doesn't care, okay? The same media that was absolutely going after this story on behalf of a victim, a so-called victim, has a problem when it comes to the victims of their particular political persuasion. So, if the right says that the media is left-wing, this is a perfect example to prove exactly that. While this whole story's going on, Keith Ellison is accused of beating his wife. And the media didn't say a word about it. So I'm just confused if the media is interested in standing up for women, why was the focus only on Kavanaugh? And notice that we're to believe all women, okay? This is where it becomes hard for me to believe the media, because believe all women means only those who make the accusations against Republicans. That's clearly what it is, because believe all women doesn't always apply. The word all doesn't work then. You can't say believe all women and then not believe all women. So the same people who say believe all women need to actually do that for me to believe that that's what they believe. So Susan Collins, as an example, are people on the left believing her? She's getting death threats at this point. I thought we cared about women. I thought we were to believe all women, but not Susan Collins. How about the women who are associated with the Kavanaugh situation? Either those who have known Kavanaugh forever, who said this isn't what this man is. This man couldn't possibly have done that. Do we believe them? No, we don't believe them. What about the women involved with Ford that were supposed to corroborate her story, but instead said, I can't say anything about what she's talking about. I can't prove at all that any of this, I never heard of this before. Do we believe them? No, we don't believe those women. So I think we need to, if we care about sexual assault, and let me say this, I think sexual assault is rampant. A lot more than what is said. And I think it is fair to say that women may have been assaulted a while ago, and I can understand why they may not come out. Remember, the same media that says now they're interested in sexual assault, NBC tried to cover up the Harvey Weinstein. And Hollywood is media. And Hollywood's known about Harvey Weinstein and others, many others like him. Matt Lauer was in the media, and he was a serial abuser. They didn't care. There were no stories run then. The only reason they care about sexual assault is for the political gain that it'll get them. It's a political tool at this point. And the people who are paying attention see that as much. And if they cared as much about sexual assault, then you wouldn't make false accusations. We would be very clear to have evidence, because we don't need false accusations, which make people think that when somebody's coming forth, oh, here's another false accusation. You muddy the water. Everything's sexual assault now. And now you can't tell when the real sexual assaults. And nobody wants to come forward anymore because they think they're going to be put into the category of the false stuff. So let's talk about how this is a microcosm for how the left and the right view reality. The left shapes reality. They think the reality is whatever they want it to be. So, this is the example. In regards to the judiciary, what is it supposed to be? What are they supposed to do? The judiciary is supposed to take the Constitution, and when they get a case in front of them, they're supposed to know the Constitution in and out and apply the Constitution to the case. That's what a constitutional justice does. What has the left provided us in regards to how their justices work? What their justices do is this. They take a case, create the verdict, and then apply it to the Constitution. They've reversed it, you see. Instead of taking the Constitution and applying it to the case, they apply the case to the Constitution. And they create new laws, new ways, new nuances. The Constitution becomes this breathing document. This is not the way it is supposed to be. The reason why Supreme Court justices and other justices can be lifetime appointees not voted in, is because they don't affect law, you see. See, law affects the citizens. The citizens are affected by the law. That's why we vote the people who affect the law, because it affects us. The reason why the Supreme Court justices are not supposed to be making law is because they're not voted in by us. They are just there to do a job they're appointed to, which is to take the law that was created by the people we voted in and apply it to specific cases. But the left has twisted all that. And they make reality, and this is a microcosm, because what they do is they just make reality whatever they need it to be at the time that they need it to be that. So when Clinton was raping and molesting and abusing women, we just don't make it a priority. We don't talk about it, and then therefore it really doesn't exist. Or we say it's a private matter. So you see how they do that? They just make, now sexual assault is just convenience or, whatever they need it to be at the time. Now, in shaping reality, they've described a man where there's no evidence. I mean, let's be real about this. The woman came forth with zero evidence, and they acted as if there's this evidence there. They've created a persona for the guy and the girl in order to achieve an appearance and shape reality for us. This is what they do all the time. So, what's so great about this is the negative ramifications that could have taken place if they had been successful. If they would have been successful, there's two possibilities in my mind. Let's say Kavanaugh resigned. However you see that taking place. But the left won. Kavanaugh never makes it into the Supreme Court on baseless accusations. Zero evidence. Zero evidence. If he didn't make it into the Supreme Court, that sets the precedent, right? That's what they do. They set a precedent moving forward. That's how they shape law now. They set the precedent and move forward from there. So the precedent now becomes accusation alone. Evidence be damned. They don't care about the evidence. You just need an accusation. That favors the people willing to accuse. All you have to do is be willing to accuse. People say, well, what did she have to gain? That's the wrong question. The wrong question is what does the left have to gain? Because then you realize that so much money and power is at stake. You're pretending that there's nothing at stake when you say this. It's just the word of this woman. BS. It's not just the word of this woman. This woman has been brought up. Think about how the statistical odds of this are. The left said they were going to go against whoever Trump nominated before he nominated them. And they just so happened to be lucky enough that Trump nominated a gang rapist? Right off the bat, you realize the odds are they're creating a narrative to accuse this guy of. Because this guy's been in his public life his whole for 30-something years. And all of a sudden we discover he's a gang rapist when the left needs him to be? That's incredible, right? It doesn't make any sense. And then you go, okay, let's hear her out. Maybe it's true. And then she's got nothing. Nothing. And then what do? You say, the proponents on the left say what? Either believe her because she's a woman, which is stupid, because again, they're not believing all women, and they haven't done that in the past. And so the evidence is not there. And so what is, she's sitting there and she's got nothing. And so they say, well, why would she lie? Why would she lie? What does she have to gain? And they don't talk about all the peripheral things around her. If your whole point is motive, establish it. Don't just say that. What does she have to gain? I don't know. She's gained a lot of money through GoFundMe, right? I could imagine a situation if you needed somebody to do something for you and there's a lot at stake and this woman's willing to do it. I think it's a little strange that all of a sudden there's a bunch of money in a GoFundMe account and she scrubbed her whole media. This was a set thing, right? If your whole evidence is based on believing this individual, we need to know about this individual. She scrubbed her social media account. I'm sorry, that stinks, right? That stinks. What are you hiding? What are you hiding? The Dems are now asking for the FBI report. Well, the Republicans have been asking for all of the information to start with. And the Dems were the ones that hid it the whole time, up until the 11th hour. So none of it makes any sense. And so what's the ramifications? See, in the future, what's going to happen is if Kavanaugh would not have gotten in there, then the left would continually know this is what you do. You just have anyone. It doesn't matter. Evidence, again, be damned. It doesn't matter. Just a flesh person that's willing to stand up there and say, yeah, he raped me years ago. I can't remember. I don't know. But it was him. And that's all. That's all you need. That's all you need. They get paid and they move on. And guess what? Move on. So what will the Republicans do in this world where all you need is an accusation? Well, the Republicans have a problem there because the Republicans tend not to do that. So anytime the Republicans nominate somebody, accusations appear. But the Republicans don't do that in kind. So the left would always get their judges in, and the Republicans would never get theirs. But the best case scenario is the Republicans go, okay, if this is the game we're playing, then we'll do the same thing, and we'll just pay somebody to pretend to be violated somehow. And then where would we be as a country when neither president, whichever one we're talking about, left or right-leaning president, cannot put justices in positions? Now, that would never happen, honestly, from the way I view how this works, because even in that case, the left would still get theirs, you see, because the left runs the media. So they would just ignore. They would just ignore, like they're doing Keith Ellison. And think about this. Let's say the left, so Kavanaugh doesn't make it, and then the right looks jaded by this situation. So then the left gets in power, and they nominate somebody, right? And then the right says, all right, two can play this game. He sexual assaulted me. What would the left do? They would say, they're just jaded. They're just jaded. They're just trying to, it's not real. And then they'd move on. And the media just wouldn't discuss it. And then it'd be on the internet, and it'd be on Fox News. And that'd be it. And then they just go, well, it's just the internet. It's just Fox News. And so the left would continually put people in place and thwart the will of the people. And that's where we are. And that's why this is so great. This is so great. Such a great thing that Brett Kavanaugh is in. And I'll say another thing about it too. I don't know how conservative Brett Kavanaugh necessarily was. I mean, he seemed to be a little to the right, but not super right leaning. I got to tell you, now that he's seen how the left presents evidence, think about that going forward. When he sits at his various cases and the left is presenting the evidence, how is he not going to go, are they doing, in this case, what they did to me? Are they just creating something out of nothing? And, you know, he's going to be very, very skeptical of and I think that's fantastic. Because until somebody proves the way I view the whole landscape, reality, politics, everything wrong in my mind, that's the best thing that can happen, because the left's nothing but liars. Straight up liars. I've tried to take the word liberal out of my vocabulary when describing them, when I realize they're not liberal in any sense of the word. And this goes back to how they reshape reality. And I did a video on that talking about how they project. And what you can do is easy. Listen to what they say. They say they care about women. They don't care about women at all. They're abusers. They're abusers. Anything they say, just look at the opposite, because you'll find their actions actually tell an opposite story of their words. And they project onto their opponents what it is that they know they're guilty of. And they're not liberals. They're progressive socialists. They want the government in charge. They're atheistic in their mindset. They've dethroned God, and then they exalt a human and human governance in his place. And everything spirals out of that philosophy. And we're seeing it, as I said before, this is a microcosm of what's going on. And because they use the court to create the reality that they want. Because unless you have real reality, you can't have real justice, can you? You can't have justice in a country where evidence means nothing. All you have to do is create an accusation. And you tell me how somebody who's actually sexually assaulted is going to come forward when they're just going to be placed in a category at the whims of the powerful as to whether or not their voice is heard. Because my guess is the people who are sexually assaulted, they never get their 15 minutes of fame like Blasey Ford did. Because you can look at that case, and I don't know if she was sexually assaulted, but I know one darn thing, it wasn't Brett Kavanaugh who did it. You can look at the information and see that. So I'm super happy, and I think everybody should be happy. And instead of accusing each other, take stock and look at exactly how this world's going, and, you know, if you disagree with me, give me information. Explain it to me. I'm open-minded. I'll want to hear what everybody has to say about it. But this is how I see it, and I'm super happy that he got in. Peace out.